Welcome to the main Art Spirit Studio. I'm here at the Indian Island School, and today I'm not only doing a demonstration for my 4th grade students. This is the second video on actually making a mask. The last video I made a mask on my face, which was the first time in 30 years I ever had done anything like that. And this was the mask, and it came off my face, and it was quite an adventure. And I want to take it to the next level, show the next step of what we do here at the Indian Island School. And for you 4th graders, this will be a part of your grade, so really want you to finish your masks. You have all the art supplies that you need. And for you that are out there watching, there are different art supplies that I'm going to be talking about. This is a Plastercraft mask. So Plastercraft is the company that will be using the material. It's a modeling material that allows you to make a mask right on the face. And so I think this is going to be a pretty exciting project to see what we do with a human face, a face that fits, a mask that actually fits our face, and then at the same time turn it into an animal or a creature. So I'd love to show you how to do that. Come right back. All right, you're going to want to roll up your sleeves for this. This is going to be a little bit of a messy project. And the art supplies that I have prepared for myself today is a piece of styrofoam. This styrofoam is actually insulation that they use to insulate houses with. And it's barely about 2 inches thick. And I'm making an eagle mask, so I'm actually going to put this shape and add it to the mask. And then I also have small, medium, and large cut plaster strips. And most of my students have just one size, so they'll need to cut that down. So you'll need scissors to cut these down into shape. You'll need to cut out a shape, or a lot of them already have the shape on the face, but if you wanted to add the piece, this is called like a prosthetic, or some sort of piece that actually transforms the human mask into something that looks more like that. Now this was cut by literally taking a pencil and tracing it and then cutting along the shape of the mask so that it actually fits. So the first step I want to do today is to take the glue, which is a hot glue gun, and I don't need a lot, I just need to tack this so that it doesn't move. So I'm just going to put a couple of glue into those contact areas right here, so that while I'm working on it, it doesn't move a whole lot. And then you can see it doesn't fall off and it doesn't move or anything like that right now. So then I'm going to take the large Plastercraft gauze pieces, and I'm going to go directly over the eyes because the eyes are really too big. And as I go over the eye, I'm partially going onto the plaster, well, the styrofoam. So the plaster really doesn't work well on dried plaster unless there's 2 or 3 layers. So I usually put 1 or 2 layers down before I start to smooth it out. And what you do want to do is to smooth out and fill in every hole. So here's my 3rd one. So that's good enough to start for this side. Then I'm going to work on this side now and put that over my other eye. And what I did after I made the mask on my face is I went around the edge and edged my mask so it's a lot thicker on the edge. Usually what happens with these masks, they're very, very thin and almost sharp on the edge. So by adding a few layers, extra layers on the edge, it'll still fit your face really well, but it'll feel more comfortable and it'll look nicer too. So far I've got my eyes covered, and I'm going to continue with my medium size, and I'm going to just keep adding. And what I want to do is completely make it so that the styrofoam is covered. Now, styrofoam isn't the best material to paint on, but this Plastercraft is, because the actual paint will actually go into the paint, will absorb into the paint, and it'll absorb almost like a stucco because it is made of plaster. Plaster does receive paint really well. So to cover this whole thing with plaster gauze is really giving us the opportunity to do a great paint job. And leaving any kind of styrofoam, there's going to be a difference on painting surfaces, so you don't want to leave any at all. And you don't want to leave any cracks. and you don't want to leave any holes. And 2 or 3 at a time really will loosen up your plaster, and then try to cover every single one of the holes. And for the eye, sometimes you can, use your finger to push in, and you can pop out an eye a little bit. You can even take a golf ball and make it more round, but I just like to use my finger to do it that way. And it looks like an eye is going to look. And I'm going to have a painted eye and just a hole there that will line up with my pupils so that I'll actually be able to see out of the mask. So we'll make holes later, but they won't be as big as they were. Okay, and I'm going to go fairly fast now, and I'm going to cover this whole thing, so you might want to watch what I do. Now the next step is to do the inside. So there are some areas that need to be covered, and for that you're going to need to cut some new larger shapes, kind of what I call eye patches. They're just going to be about that size. And we'll do the inside now. Now you don't want to do a lot of working on the inside, because you could change the mask so that it doesn't fit your face anymore. So you don't want to put a lot, but you should put at least 2. And you could put up to 3. And you're trying to get this to stick to the outside so that that's nice and smooth, and it isn't going to hurt you when you put it on your face. You don't want any sharp corners or anything like that. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm putting 1, 2 layers, and I may as well do the nose at the same time. And I will make nose holes later so that I can breathe out of the mask. Put another one in there. So really that's all I really want to put in, is about 2 or 3 layers, and then really press down and work your fingers across and make it as deep as it was before. Make sure there's nothing sticking out that's going to feel uncomfortable when you put this up against your face, because this is a wearable mask. There's no point in making a mask on your face if it can't be worn. And all of this extra powder is really good stuff that you can add, and it will fill in all your holes. There's a couple of ways of filling and completing your mask. So my mask is complete. Some of you who have animal masks may want to add ears and different things like that. I may add some things out here, so you might want to look at that. But how you finish your mask, you take about 5 to 10 of these and you dip them in the water, and then you make a ball out of it. And then you take the ball and literally fill in all of the holes so that you have a nice smooth mask. So that's the last step. When you finally get the mask where you want it, you're going to fill in all of the cracks. Anywhere you see a hole, a tiny hole from the cloth, you're going to fill in to make it a lot more solid and a lot more permanent. That's going to make a huge difference on the feel of the mask. And also when you're painting, you don't have a lot of holes to have to fill in when you're trying to color and paint something. You can dip this more than once, but as this begins to dry, discard it and do another one. Okay, so the mask looks pretty good from here. I think what I'm going to try to do next is add some sort of shape on the outside so they look like feathers. And I'm going to do that with Plastercraft. So watch how I do that. If you want to speed this up, you can use a hairdryer. And then when you pull it off, you have the beginnings of feathers. So these are going to be shaped feathers as a part of the mask. And then I'm just going to add different shapes to the inside. So I'm going to work on the inside now. And get this part. So when this actually attaches on the other side, then it will become very, very permanent. So all of these shapes that are left over, I'm going to go like that. And as the two join, it will get very, very hard. And I want this fairly thin. That's just an idea I had. You may have an idea that's similar. Well, it was wonderful working with you today on making a plaster gauze mask and from your face actually turning it into a creature. And so what I've done so far is these are going to represent feathers that come from the beak out, and this will be the eagle. And this is an idea that I had. And make sure that you take a ball in the end with about 5 or 10 of these and just go over everything to fill in all of the holes and the cracks and crevices to make it as smooth as possible. The great thing about plaster is that it can be painted to look like anything. It can be painted to look like steel, wood, or even stone. And it could look like it's carved. So that's what I really love about it. It's also very lightweight. It's going to be heavy until it actually dries. And then as plaster dries, it'll be very lightweight. So it makes a wonderful mask. And that's my class for today. Please friend or like or subscribe, and you will get the next video, which shows what I do when I actually paint this. So until then, I'll see you. My email is michael.vermette@iis.bie.edu, and I would love to hear from you and see any photographs of your work, and especially if you'd like to have any questions to ask me, please do so. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, I'll see you in next class.